Calling All Authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast, hosted by Robert A. Lane, is on the air, featuring everything you need to know about narrating your own audiobook. But it doesn't stop there. From special guests, including authors and professionals from the book industry, to sharing tools and techniques needed to be a confident and compelling narrator. The journey starts now. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Glad you're here. We have a great show for you today. We have another in-studio guest. I'm getting used to doing this and having guests in studio as opposed to remote, which is nice for a change. It's good to meet the authors in person, and we have a great author here on today's podcast who is not only an author, which we're going to talk about not only his first book, but the second book that has been recently published. But my guest is Anthony J. Rodriguez. I know him as Walking Crow, and I feel more comfortable saying Walking Crow. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here, Robert.
Nice to have you in studio, as I say. It's really great to sit here and it's an energy thing. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's when you're sitting with somebody in person, you can really feed off of their energy, and it makes for a much greater conversation, I think.
The pauses are less painful.
The pauses are less painful. Yeah, absolutely. So, Walking Crow, it's again exciting for you to be here. Not only are you an author, but you're a shamanic healer, a drum maker, which I do want to talk about those aspects of what you do. But we're going to talk about your book as an author. Now, this book this was your first book. This is Transformation of a Walking Crow. Incredible read, sharing your life story in a sense. Can you expand a little bit on it to let people know if they haven't?
Well, as the person that I am now, I never had an idea or a dream that this is what I would be doing in Sedona, being a medicine man. People call me a shaman, a drum birther, a ceremonialist, an author, a published author, on and on and on. And it's the original book, Transformation of a Walking Crow, is how I made it. And I walked through all my trauma and shame and low self-esteem, no self-esteem, alcoholism, drug addiction, the marriages, all the stuff of the life, and how I walked through that and through the gateway, if you will, and became Walking Crow as a result of all those things that happened, which I believe were necessary events that were supposed to happen in my life for me to become.
And I think the key word is transformation of a walking crow.
Yeah.
And can you expand a little bit about what was involved in this transformation? How did you transform from who you were before to what you've become now?
Well, in America, they tell you that you have to be educated, you have to get a job to become something, but they really make it difficult for you to do either one of those things. And I was a high school dropout after a lifetime of not feeling cared for, loved, not wanting to care. I was flunked in the second grade. I was moved in the 10th grade out of my private school to a public school. So twice my tribe had gone on without me. So I really felt like I was alone in the world. I didn't have a tribe. Family, I have a father that was an alcoholic, a mother that was an enabler. And, my mother had 5 kids, but she had the main child, which was my father, and she was busy taking care of him. Mm-hmm. And I grew up kind of a wild child. And the transformation was how I went from being that wild, lonely, sad child, suffering child, to this man who has rescued the 5-year-old child and merged them together and become WHOLE after a lifetime of HOLE, that emptiness inside and within.
And so, with this transformation now, that led you to become a shamanic healer.
Yeah.
So, how did that come about?
Well, I was dating a woman in Los Angeles. We were together a year. She gifted me a healing session with a friend of hers who, unbeknownst to me, went to the school that I eventually went to because of that healing session. That school that I went to the classes were located at a place called Poverello Retreat Center in San Fernando, California, the place of my birth. And that's where I went to school at 5 years old, where I was abused, hit, slapped, pulled my hair, all that stuff. And I made return a full circle back to ground zero to become walking crow. I just wanted to learn energy healing. But what happened on that property was astounding, because here I am. And that property, that going back to ground zero, was a springboard forward almost 65 years later. And here I am, you know.
And so, you take your shamanic healing now, and now everything that you've learned, as a healer, you now offer healing to others who
Yeah.
are seeking help.
I offer shamanic healings. I offer drum clearings, drum journeys. I sing medicine songs. All the songs that I sing are not traditional native songs, although they've been downloaded to me through my pathway, if you will. I walk the red road, which is the indigenous spirituality. And I sing those songs to people when I'm doing events or when I'm doing healings. I whisper to them in languages that are not familiar to me, but I know that the languages are ancient because they've showed that to me. The spirits have shown what the origin is of what I do and how I do it. So I feel really honored to be allowed to do the things I do in the way that I do them. And I'm not a joiner. Don't join the woo-woo world, although I know they're out there and I get it. But I isolate and spend a lot of time with spirit and meditating and in quietness, which is the biggest part of my growth. I had to learn how to be still, be quiet, and walk, not run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit on an important part. There's a lot of chaos. We're surrounded by a lot of things, and to be able to sit down, be still,
Yeah.
gather yourself.
Oh yeah.
It's super
I
important.
mean, I often hear people talk about the collective. We have to heal the collective. We have to heal the collective. Just heal you. Don't mind the business of the collective. MINE, mind your own business. Mind your heart of gold, Neil Young.
Right.
And stop trying to mind the business of others, because you can't give away what you haven't got.
Right. No.
Which is important. And in America, everybody's trying to give you something, heal you, sell you something. It's like, no. Be still and know that Creator is. Walk, don't run. I have this saying, there's no hurry for a flurry and no flurry for a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I do want to talk about your second book, which is called Evolution: Pathway to Embodiment. This book, is it a continuation of your first book, and because you have transformation and now you're doing embodiment?
It's a sister book, if you will, because I talk about the embodiment in the first book, but this is what I did, how I sat still, how the things that took place in a sweat lodge, in the darkness, in the heat, being humbled and getting on all fours at the doorway of the sweat lodge and face to the earth and asking for Mother Earth for permission just to enter the sweat lodge on my hands and knees. So in essence, going back to the womb, really understanding the darkness, not as darkness in a evil way, or pardon the expression, dark way, but in a place of silence and stillness where I become the light within the darkness. There's a story in Conversations with God about a little candle that comes across the sun, and he's complaining that he can't see his light because the sun is so bright, and the sun says to him, well, little candle, if you want to see your own light, you're going to have to go out into the darkness. So that's what I did. I went inward to seek my light, to be my light. And I like to think of myself as a beacon, a lighthouse, if you will, a beacon of light. And even though I don't not everybody fancies me or my flavor, there are those who hear what I have to say and understand that you have to be still to go forward. Mercury in retrograde is a good example. Oh, my computer's not working. Oh, my car, I got a flat. This happened, that happened. They get into the Chicken Little of everything. But Mercury in retrograde appears to go backwards. So if I'm standing in my fishbowl and I take one step out of my fishbowl and look into my fishbowl, how will I proceed going back in? I believe that's what Mercury in retrograde is for. So these are the practices of moving forward slowly, walking, not running. And when it's time to be still, be still. When it's time to listen, listen, not listen, because this is intake, 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 intake. And most people live up in here. And I always say astronauts wear spacesuits to live up in here, because we live up in here. But nothing happens up in here. Everything happens down here. Action, things happen through action and through my listening, through my sitting still, through my being present, through all the beings and doings. And I like to say, being in the doing and being in the being of the doing and the doing of the being. You know, I'm not in a hurry to get to anywhere. Just be in the stillness of what the ancestors have to give to me and what I have to feel and how I'm going to heal, and just allow myself to be. What do you know what allowance is?
Well, there's a lot of definitions.
Yeah. What's your first one you think about, like when from you were a little kid?
Right, allowance, being paid for doing a service.
I always say I am always an allowance, and for me, allowance is simply receiving. So I allow myself to receive what's necessary, and I move on from there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't beg in prayer. I don't grovel in prayer. And I like to say, I say a lot of things that I can ask God 1,000 times, but he heard me the second time and said no, because I didn't believe me the first time. Mm-hmm. So I live my life in allowance and just allowance to receive. And if it comes, yes. If it doesn't come, okay. I have to be good with that.
Yeah, I think I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I'm sure I do it as well.
Right.
You know, is
Hi, human.
Yeah, it's just part of being human. It's like, okay, I really need this to happen, and it's not happening. Why is it not happening? And then you try and you keep trying and you keep trying, and like you say, it's probably the answer is like no, I told you no. Why you keep asking me? I keep telling you no. So
right. I think that we have to trust in ourselves and have a faith in ourselves before we can even assume to have a faith and a trust in a God that we don't even know, that that is secondhand information, not firsthand. Because we don't learn about God firsthand. We learn about God secondhand. The native peoples here in the United States, they knew that we had God. We didn't have God on a skewer like they brought Jesus. I say they brought Jesus here on a skewer to make a point, right? This human being on a fork, if you will, and it's like that's what they led with when they came on these lands in what we call Turtle Island, and that put fear into people. The cross was a torture device. It wasn't something to wear around your neck, and so, and why I'm talking about that is I don't know why, but I don't want to live in fear. I want to live in the embodiment of what I believe God is. And I learned from the Hindus, from a Swami, that God was simply bliss. When I heard that, it was like my heart exploded, my head exploded. Really? It's that simple. And I realized it's that simple. God is bliss.
So in your book about pathway to embodiment, are there maybe a couple of key points that you can talk about that people will be able to get from reading this book?
Yeah. I talk a lot about the listening, the potential for listening, which we don't do. We're busy with the phones and the computers and everything. Just be still. Be willing. Willingness is the big key. Be willing to wait, not hurry up and wait, but wait patiently. Be your most important patient. As a healer, I'm my most important patient. So I am patient with myself. Offer yourself patience. You deserve that. Your parents taught you how to be in a hurry. And hurry for what? Sometimes failure, sometimes alcoholism, sometimes drug addiction, food addiction, right? Sex addiction, all these things that embody the material world, the Mayic energy, are harmful to us until we say no. And allow yourself to say no until your body says it's time to say yes.
So, in regards to what you do with making drums, how did that get started?
I saw a guy in Los Angeles making drums. Well, he wasn't making them, he was selling them at an event. So I searched out a company to buy materials and I made my first drum. I had always played the drum, congas and percussion and that sort of thing. And I made my first drum, and the first drum took me about 3 or 4 hours. And it had all kinds of knots because I didn't know anything yet. So my first drum, I would put the tie, make the holes, put the tie through, tie a knot, stretch it across, tie it, create another knot, cut it, and then cross it. And it was all a series of knots and the ties. Well, now, when you look at my drums, you can't see where they begin and you can't see where they end. They're like the frame of the drum, the grandmother tree, the circle. You can't see where it has a beginning or where it has an end. And the spirits have been with me and showed me how to do every aspect of what I do. And I made a drum for for a friend, and I made a drum for another friend, and then I started selling drums and making 1 or 2 at a time to sell, and then it was 3 or 4, and then I just kept going, and the evolution took place in my listening to the spirit world and how to do what they're asking me to do, and they're works of art now. They're literally, well, I'm going to the Conscious Life Expo this weekend to sell drums, and you can't get a drum like mine anywhere else because of the way that it's made with intention and in ceremony and with the medicines of the earth that come from Sedona and the tobaccos that are gifted to me from all over the world. They're a very special drum for a very special reason, and I refer to them as medicine. They are medicine. And they are the heartbeat of my original drum, my mother, your mother, our grandmothers. The drum represents all of that lineage of our family lineage, of our mothers and grandmothers, sisters, daughters, cousins, all the women in our lives that bear children and even don't bear children. They are symbolic of that heartbeat of that drum, of the sound of Mother Earth. Om, om. And I believe that's that important. So I continue to do what I do. And, I heard a long time ago, do what makes you happy. And it makes me happy to do that. You know?
So what is the significance of the different types of skins that you utilize for the drum? Does horse represent one thing, or bear, or
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, and you first said horse because yesterday was the 17th, and it was the fire year. It's the year of the fire horse.
Yes.
Well, for me, the horse represents freedom, power, humility, and sovereignty. So when I birth a horse drum, not everybody's going to want that drum. In fact, there was a lady at my house one day and she said, I don't know if I could have a horse drum because I'm a horse person. I said, that's exactly the reason why you should have it. And oddly enough, after our conversation, I don't convince people what they should choose.
Yeah.
The drum chooses them.
Yeah.
And she left there with a drum, a horse drum. Elk hide medicine, I say, is about the long distance journey. Are you willing to say yes to yourself after a lifetime of no's to a long distance journey, to your long distance journey? When the elk migrate, you can't stop the elk from migrating. Don't get in their way. They will not stop till they get to their migration point. You and I don't have a migration point. But when it comes to obstacles, we go over, through, and around the obstacles. The journey is our journey, and it's never ending. We just have to say yes to it after a lifetime of no's. That's elk medicine for me. Deer medicine represents the Kuan Yin medicine of the compassionate voice, the compassionate heart, the willingness to say yes to, and the bravery of your yes to go up the mountain to see Great Spirit and Great Mother and tell them what you want, not getting on your knees again and groveling for what you might not ever get because you don't trust you the first time. They want to hear what we have to say. They want to know it because they already know it. They just want to hear you say it. They want to hear me say it. And the compassion from Kuan Yin, we can't give away what we haven't got. So being compassionate with ourselves allows us to show others compassion if we're able to.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some examples of the medicines.
Yeah. Now, as we're starting to get close to the end of the podcast, so many, I love your stories and your information is just, it's fascinating. And, the spiritual aspect of what you do, is, again, it's putting out love and positivity and things that we need in this world.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Now, we have two books here by Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, as I love to call him, Walking Crow. Transformation, this one, here we go. Transformation of a Walking Crow was your first book. We got Evolution, Pathway to Embodiment as the second book. Two fantastic books. They available on Amazon.
You can get them on Amazon.com and $14.95. And it only takes a couple of days. I don't even have my copies of those books yet, but you can also get them on Ingram.com and any bookstore near you. Go in and order it. Check with your libraries, and I haven't had an opportunity to go out there and press the flesh with it yet.
Right.
But I'll be planning some events around it as well.
Yeah, that's really great, and looking forward to having you to be able to be in person.
Right.
To
Thank you.
To sign the books and to talk with people and have them really meet you in person, feel the energy and the positivity. Like I said, this is why I love doing having these in studio guests is great for the podcast because we get to feel and play off of each other's energy, and it's a very positive experience, which
it's like sitting having coffee. You and I sit and have coffee every now and again.
Yeah.
And it's just comfortable, I mean, sometimes, when you're sitting on the other end of the screen, the other side of the screen, you're hoping that your phone won't ring or somebody won't ring the doorbell or knock or any one of 1,000, the blower from the gardener. Here it's just comfort and stillness, right? Like our insides, just comfort and stillness.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are interested in finding out more about Walking Crow, there's a website. It's sacreddrummedicine.com, correct?
Sacreddrummedicine.com.
Sacreddrummedicine.com. Now, the link is in the description. So you got it there on YouTube. You got it there on LinkedIn Live. And of course, it's there for you on any of the other podcast platforms that you're hearing this podcast on, whether it's audio only. Some of you are hearing the audio only version. If you want to see the video version, you can go to Robert Lane Coaching, my YouTube channel. where I archive all the podcasts there as well. But yeah, check it out and order a drum, order the books. You're going to be amazed. And if you are ever in Sedona, make sure you come in and have a session with Walking Crow.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you again for being here.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for asking.
That's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. We do this every week at this time. Again, my assignment to you, as always, is this. When you're out and about in the world, my friends, smile at a stranger. Say hello to them. Give them a compliment. Because that small gesture of kindness can make the world a difference in somebody's life. So be a life changer. Be a life changer. Have a great week, my friends. We will be talking to you on the next edition of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Take care.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode. And remember, only you can narrate your story the way it's meant to be heard.